This year you didn't just show up. You unleashed a force they'll never forget. You became the storm they thought they could outrun, the fire they thought they could contain, and the reckoning they never prepared for. You didn't just confront them. You shattered their illusions, stripped away their masks, and exposed the hollow arrogance they thought could overpower you. They thought they knew you. They thought they could play their games, twist their words, and watch you stumble. They underestimated the quiet fire burning inside you, the strength you've been building in silence. But this year, they learned. Oh, how they learned. You showed them that your patience isn't passivity and your kindness isn't weakness. You were the calm before the storm, and when it came, it was devastating. They thought you'd crumble. They thought they could break you, push you to your limits, and watch you collapse under the weight of their actions. But you didn't just withstand it, you thrived on it. Every blow they delivered only fueled your resolve. Every whisper, every sneer, every attempt to undermine you became a brick in the fortress of your strength. And then when they least expected it, you struck. Not with wild anger or desperation, but with precision, control, and undeniable power. You didn't need to scream or beg for acknowledgement. Your presence, your actions, your truth. These spoke louder than any words ever could. You held up a mirror to their actions. You didn't just confront them. You forced them to see themselves for what they truly are. You made them face the reality they'd tried so hard to avoid. You weren't just fighting back. You were dismantling their illusions, piece by piece, with an intensity that left no room for escape. And it wasn't just about proving them wrong. It was about reclaiming your narrative. For too long, they tried to define you, to box you in, to control your story. But this year, you took the pen back. You rewrote the script. You made it clear that no one, not them, not anyone, would ever dictate who you are or what you're capable of. You taught them respect the hard way. This wasn't a lesson learned through gentle words or soft gestures. This was a lesson carved into their memory with the force of your truth. You showed them that respect isn't optional, that it isn't something they can withhold at their convenience. You demanded it, not with aggression, but with the kind of unyielding confidence that cannot be ignored. They'll remember the way you looked them in the eye, unflinching and unbroken, as if to say, "Do you understand now? Do you see who you're dealing with?" They'll remember how every word you spoke carried the weight of someone who has faced storms before and emerged stronger. They'll remember the way you stood, tall, proud, and unapologetic, as they struggled to reconcile the person they thought they knew with the unstoppable force standing before them. This year you stood like an immovable force, a presence that demanded respect, and you gave them a lesson they will carry with them for the rest of their lives. You weren't just confronting situations, you were rewriting the rules, smashing illusions, and forcing the truth into the light. What they thought would break you only sharpened your resolve, and what they thought would silence you only gave you the voice of thunder. They didn't see it coming because they underestimated the quiet fire inside you. They thought your patience was weakness, and your silence was fear. They assumed you'd bow, fold, or fade away under the weight of their actions. But you proved them wrong. This year wasn't about revenge or anger for its own sake. It was about awakening, about showing them and the world that you are not to be dismissed. They tried to test you, but they were the ones who failed. Their smug arrogance, their manipulative games, their constant pushing only served to ignite something primal and powerful within you. They underestimated the force of someone who has been forged through hardship, who knows what it means to rise after falling. They didn't see the hours you spent building yourself brick by brick, layer by layer, into the unshakable presence you've become. When they crossed the line, you didn't just react. You delivered a message that was loud, clear, and unforgettable. You spoke not out of anger, but from a place of undeniable truth, a truth so sharp it cut through every lie, every excuse, and every feeble attempt they made to justify themselves. It wasn't just what you said, it was how you said it. Your words carried weight, each one a hammer striking the anvil of their egos, reshaping the very foundation of their beliefs about you. It wasn't the strength of brute force or loud words. It was the quiet, unstoppable strength of someone who knows their worth and refuses to compromise it. You let them throw everything they had at you, and then you stood there, untouched, unbroken, as if to say, "Is that the best you can do?" And then, when the time came, you struck. Not out of recklessness, but with precision and purpose. Every move you made was deliberate. Every action carried a message. You weren't playing their game. You were teaching them a lesson they never expected to learn. You taught them that respect isn't optional. You reminded them that actions have consequences and that underestimating someone like you is a mistake they will only make once. You didn't stoop to their level. You rose above it, showing them what true power looks like. You didn't need to shout to be heard or fight to be seen. Your presence was enough, your resolve unshakable. They'll remember how you faced them with an unwavering gaze, a calmness that shook them more than any outburst could have. They'll remember how you dismantled their arrogance piece by piece, leaving nothing but the raw truth in its place. This year you became the storm they never saw coming. You stood, not just in defiance, but in complete mastery of yourself and the moment. They thought they knew you, thought they could predict your moves, manipulate your emotions, and control your actions. But you taught them a lesson that will echo in their minds for the rest of their lives. A lesson forged in fire, strength, and the indomitable spirit of someone who refused to be silenced. They pushed and pulled, testing your limits, poking at your patience as if you were made of glass. But glass doesn't roar back. Glass doesn't rise from the ashes like a phoenix. This year, you showed them who you really are. You didn't just turn the page. You tore it from the book and rewrote the entire story. They wanted you to break, but what they didn't realize is that your silence wasn't surrender. It was strategy. You let them dig their own graves with every underestimation, every backhanded comment, every smug assumption that they had you figured out. What they failed to realize was that behind your calm exterior lay a fierce determination, an unstoppable force waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And when that moment came, you delivered. It wasn't just words, it was a reckoning. Every sentence you spoke carried the weight of truth they couldn't deny, and a power they couldn't match. You didn't raise your voice, but you made sure they felt every syllable like a thunderclap in the middle of their storm. You showed them that respect isn't given, it's earned. You reminded them that loyalty isn't demanded, it's reciprocated. And you proved that underestimating you was their gravest mistake. You embodied anger, but not the reckless kind. This was calculated fury, the kind that burns not to destroy but to purify, to strip away lies, pretense, and entitlement. They tried to intimidate you with their arrogance, their aggression, their hollow sense of superiority. But you stood firm, unshaken, every fiber of your being radiating an unyielding resolve. You didn't just match their energy, you surpassed it. You outthought them, outfought them, and outlasted them. It wasn't about stooping to their level. It was about rising so far above them that they couldn't even fathom the altitude. They wanted control, but you gave them accountability. Every move you made was deliberate. Every word laced with the kind of conviction that cannot be argued with. You didn't play their games. You rewrote the rules, flipped the board, and made them realize that this was never their arena to begin with. They'll remember the way you looked them in the eye, unflinching and unapologetic, as if to say, "Is this all you've got?" They'll remember the fire in your voice, the strength in your stance, and the sheer weight of your presence. They'll remember how you dismantled their arguments, exposed their lies, and stood tall as everything they thought they knew crumbled before them.